Welcome to This Week in the News here on Zodiac. This is Philip Caetano da Costa. Some of the top stories once again. High Court convicts and remands business mogul Thompson Mpinganjira to Chichiri prison. Stakeholders demand answers on the recent security lapse in the administration of Sunday 8 examinations. Parliament summons central medical stores and DHOs over acute drug shortage in public hospitals. And Nyasa Big Bullets stun Amazulu FC in CAF Champions League first leg in South Africa. Stay with us, we have these and many more. We'll start with the story that on Friday, High Court Judge Dorothy D. Gabriel convicted Dr. Thompson Mpinganjira and remanded him to Chichiri prison to wait his sentencing. Mpinganjira was found guilty of attempting to bribe judges as an inducement for them to rule in favor of respondents in the presidential election case, former President Peter Mutharika and Malawi Electoral Commission. While lawyers for Dr. Mpinganjira pleaded for mercy and a non-custodial sentence, lawyers for the Anti-Corruption Bureau want a custodial sentence, which would serve as a lesson against corruption. Our reporter, Madoto Piri, was in court and now brings us the full story.
Giving her judgment, Judge Dorothy D. Gabriel said the evidence presented in court by both the prosecution and defense was enough to prove that Dr. Mpinganjira's actions wanted to influence the outcome of the presidential election case by attempting to bribe the 5 judges through Justices Michael Tembo and Hire Potani. She said the actions by Dr. Mpinganjira was clear that she wanted the judges to rule in favor of the then President Peter Mutharika and the Malawi Electoral Commission so that justice should be traversed. And she has since ordered that Dr. Mpinganjira should be on remand at Chichiri prison, having revoked his bail pending sentencing. After the guilty verdict, the lawyers for Dr. Mpinganjira presented mitigating factors that suggested that they wanted a non-custodial sentence, saying that he was advanced in age and that he was sick. And they also added that he is involved in many charitable activities, as well as he employs a lot of people that will suffer if he goes for a custodial sentence. But this was trashed by the Solicitor General, Renek Matemba, who is representing the Anti-Corruption Bureau, who said that the offense that Dr. Mpinganjira committed is so grave that he needs the custodial sentence to send a clear message to other would-be offenders to be deterred in doing the same.
In our view, there was none. There was no mitigating factor. And if you heard what the Defense Counsel said in response to what we had said, in our view, he miserably failed. What we think is there are more aggravating factors than mitigating factors, if any, that is. Their discretion to mete out a sentence rests with the court. What we wanted and what we want, and that is what we requested from the court.
For Zodiac, this is Madali Supiri reporting.
And on Thursday, a 20-year-old girl, Chisomo Makala, who was arrested for posting video thought to mock President Chakwera, was granted court bail in Lilongwe. Makala, a Lilongwe resident, was arrested on 1st September after sharing the video to one of our WhatsApp groups. Chimwemwe Badata filed a report.
The 20-year-old Chisomo Magala has spent over a week in police cell after she was arrested on 1st September for sending a video on a WhatsApp group that allegedly mocked President Chakwera. She has been granted bail on several conditions, including payment of a 10,000 Waja bail bond and provide sureties worth 30,000 Waja. She has also been asked to report at Central West Police Headquarters every fortnight. Chisomo Magala was arrested at Chigwirizano in Lilongwe, and her arrest comes amid concerns of rising cyber crime as a result of the booming new media platforms such as WhatsApp and Facebook, where some people have resorted to misusing such platforms. This is Chimwemwe Parata for Zodiac.
Still on legal matters, in the week ending, the Malawi Law Society cautioned against amending Legal Aid Act to allow legal assistance or for legal representation in minor cases for people at magistrates' courts. The Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament and Legal Aid Bureau said the proposal would ensure access to legal representation by majority poor whose cases have stalled and therefore congestion congesting prisons. But in a statement jointly signed by the Society's President Patrick Graham Parker and his Honorary Secretary Crispin Chimwemwe Gunde, the Society says the proposal actually takes away the very right of the needy at legal representation. Earlier this week, the Malawi National Examinations Board, MANEB, in conjunction with the Ministry of Education, announced a general decline in the number of candidates sitting for Malawi School Certificate of Education MSCE and Malawi Primary School Living Certificate of Education PSLCE. The announcements were made on Tuesday, just a day before Standard 8 learners began their examinations on Wednesday. MANEB said that there are 281,329 candidates for this year's Standard 8 exams, down from 302,989 last year, while 128,969 will write form for examinations this year, down from 154,147. While MANEB Acting Executive Secretary Professor Dorothy Nampota played down the development as normal, Minister of Education Agnes Nyalonje said the ministry will investigate the cause and inform Malawians. We had a report filed by Western Guta.
MANEB has announced that national examinations this year have been well prepared to avoid cheating and leakage, but with a decrease in the number of candidates sitting for the Primary School Living Certificate Education examinations, which start Wednesday, and the Malawi School Certificate of Education examinations. According to MANEB's Acting Executive Secretary Professor Dorothy Nampota, compared to last year's 302,985 candidates, 281,329 candidates will sit for the Primary School Certificate Education examinations this year, will sit for the PSLCE examinations this year, while 128,968 candidates will write the Form 4 examinations this year from 154,147 last year.
In as far as a candidate has paid examination fees, they should be allowed to sit for the examinations, because they fulfilled all requirements for them to sit for the examination.
However, Minister of Education Agnes Nyalonje has said that the ministry will investigate and announce the cause of the decrease, further stating that the ministry will not take lightly cheating and leakage of the exams.
In my ministry, increasingly we want to encourage running education based on evidence. So what we'll be doing is looking into it to establish exactly what has been the case.
But while both the minister and MANEB expect all the candidates that paid for the exams to write, there have been reports that some students may not be allowed to write examinations after school authorities withheld their identity cards for not paying school fees. It is also not clear whether some of those sitting for the PSLC examinations are not in the initiation camps in some parts of the country. This is Western Guta for Zodiac.
And on Wednesday morning, it transpired that some materials related to the Standard 8 examinations were stolen in Rumpi at Chikwa Primary School. The incident is said to have happened after the Malawi Defense Force soldiers assigned at the center abandoned their duty and went to some other things. And following these reports, education experts urged authorities to investigate further the matter. But Malawi National Examinations Board spokesperson Mayemi Gojiwaya said the soldiers were not at their assigned post when this happened, a development that education expert Benedicto Kondowe says calls for urgent thorough investigations. We spoke to Kondowe.
This could have been deliberate because under an ideal situation, it could not have happened. So this is a very serious matter because we are dealing with a scenario where some envelopes have gone missing, and so far there is no report indicating whether they have been recovered or as to what is the status of those envelopes. So I think this is a serious matter that MANEB must deal with the relevant authorities. I'm aware that MANEB has the service agreement with the Malawi Defense Force as well as the Malawi Police Services, and that within these institutions there are administrative mechanisms that will need to be considered to make sure that those who are responsible for providing security at the given place of incident must be made to account so that such issues are not repeated.
In the week, First Lady Monica Chakwera launched a booklet and a documentary depicting the story of her life to inspire girls in the country to achieve their goals. Chakwera said during the launch in Lilongwe on Thursday that there is need to inspire young girls, especially those in rural areas, to realize and achieve their goals. Ministry of Education is expected to distribute the copies of the booklet to girls in schools across the country. Alinafi Mlamba witnessed the colorful event.
The story that we launched today is a living example that many girls from rural areas can draw inspiration from and understand and realize that even with the limitation of life, one can still make it to their God-given destiny.
Speaking during the launch of her life story, which has been documented in a documentary booklet, First Lady Monica Jagwera said young women need to be exposed to role models who can give them a push with their career. The documentation has been made in a bid to motivate young women in rural areas, especially those struggling with their education. Education Minister Agnes Nyalonje says her ministry intends to use the story to inspire both parents and girls in primary and secondary schools.
We hope to use it as a case study that will play the role of role modeling for the girls and the boys, because we cannot hope to bring the First Lady to every classroom in the country, but through the book we can. So that's part of the beauty of it. But what I also see is the beauty that this book can work also at community level.
The documentation has been made with aid from Plan Malawi, and its country director Fabi Kasoga has reaffirmed the organization's commitment in ensuring that young girls are supported academically.
We believe that small steps like this, if each of us can do something, we'll be able to collectively bring about change for girls in Malawi. We have had today the challenges that a typical girl in a rural village faces. She will face challenges from food, from failing to get scholastic material, from failing to get tuition. But I think the most important thing that I want to say to each of the young girls is, I think, the determination to make it in life, to always keep trying. When we fall down, it's not the end of the story.
2,500 copies of DVDs and booklets have since been released and are expected to be distributed in various schools across the country.
In the week ending, a public debate rose on whether the number of security personnel deployed on the presidential convoy is necessary after some were spotted carrying public address speakers as President Lazarus Chakwera addressed people in Salima on his way to Mangochi. Governance and security expert Sheriff Kaisi said a video clip that trended on social media about events at Chipoka turnoff on Thursday could lead people to believe that unnecessary security personnel is deployed on the presidential convoy.
It is giving a bad picture of our security arms, and more especially, we are not talking just the mere security arms, but particularly the special forces that are there to safeguard the president. You know, providing security to the president, I think that's the highest responsibility of the Malawi Police Service and Malawi Defense Force. And in provision of that kind of security, I think there is no room for the security personnel to be given another task apart from that which is mandated by their sections. And that's nothing that they should carry in their hands or surrounding them, unless that should be a weapon that is to protect the president. But leaving the weapon unattended, definitely that one does not add up anything to security of the high people like the president.
The debate has also been extended to the type of address system that was used, which Information Minister and Government spokesperson Gospel Kazako says his office will launch a probe to understand what actually happened.
What happened at that particular one event, you know, in reference to what you're saying, I think we cannot stand here and start to defend that. I think it's unacceptable and inappropriate. And what we are doing is to investigate as to exactly what happened, who did it, and why it had to happen. Because what happened is not speaking to our standards. What happened is not speaking to the things that we believe in. So it's inappropriate, it's unacceptable. We will be ensuring that we do things right, but at the same time, I must also mention that this is the last time that you have seen something like that. Certainly it will not have to happen again. Once again, I must mention that is not something that is talking or creating interface to the standards that we have set in government.
You're watching This Week in the News on Zodiac. We still have more to come. Stay with us.
Mipando ya sofa, dining set, mabedi, coffee table zisamakhale ngati zolandira kuli kufanana ayi. Ku Davina Furnitures amapanga mipando, masofa set, dining set mmene inuyo eni yake mukufunira. Podziwa kuti anthufe timakhala nkukonda kosiyana.
Hide me. Hide me.
Ian, why are you hiding?
I took some money on Caterpillar from that guy.
Really?
Yes.
Why did you have to take some Caterpillar from that guy, Ian?
I just needed a ticket to a music concert.
Come on, Ian. You need to have some valid reasons on why you want to borrow some money. And why are you taking some money from Caterpillar when there are some registered institutions in this country? You can go to banks. You can join some circles. There are microfinance institutions out there where you can go and borrow some money. And the good thing with these institutions is that when you go to borrow some money, they advise you on how much money you can borrow, comparing with your income. And there are also some terms and conditions you need to understand before borrowing some money. Okay. The issues of interest rates, the issues of a repayment plan, how are you going to be servicing the loan, the issues of collateral. All these things are clearly laid out when you go to these registered institutions than taking money from that Caterpillar guy. Eh? This is an embarrassment. Ian, he is coming.
Borrow wisely. Pay back your loans. Always read and understand the terms and conditions before signing any financial contract.
Masompenya amalawi watukula malawi 2063 kufika 2063 kale wokomera aliyense achinyamata tikwirane manja tukula malawi achinyamata tikale patsogolo tukula malawi 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 wozimira paeka malawi wokomera aliyense Malawi 2063 kusinda dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
Welcome back. The headlines as we continue with this edition of This Week in the News. High Court convicts and remand business mogul Thompson Binganjira to Chile prison. Stakeholders demand answers on the recent security lapse in the administration of Standard 8 examinations. Parliament summons central medical stalls and DHOs over acute drug shortage in public hospitals. And Nyasa Big Bullets stun Amazulu FC in CAF Champions League first leg match in South Africa. Moving on with the news. Parliamentary Committee on Health summoned officials from the central medical stalls and district health officers to understand the root cause of acute drug shortages in the country. Chairperson of the committee, Dr. Matthews Ngwale, told Zodiac that it is difficult to tolerate the current drug shortages when Parliament advocated for increase in the funding towards procurement of drugs in the budget, which is running bad. The opposite is happening. Meanwhile, health expert Professor Adamson Mula says the problem is too deep. Andrew Viano, further report.
Malawi's government hospitals are experiencing critical shortages of medicines. Health Minister Kumbise Kandodo Chibonda acknowledged the situation is dire, saying the country's national drug warehouse, the Central Medical Stores, has nearly run out of some medicines. She is, however, quick to mention that government is in the process of procuring drugs. The situation has compelled Parliamentary Committee on Health to summon stakeholders involved in a quest to find a lasting solution. Chairperson of the committee, Dr. Matthews Ngwale, says it is uncalled for that the country's public health facilities should be running out of essential medical drugs when the budgetary allocations towards procurement of drugs was increased.
Most of the drugs at central medical stores are supplied by certain individuals. And these companies that supplied in drugs are normally paid very late, and that has caused problems. In some cases, they've overcharged their supplies.
Public health expert Professor Adamson Muula says while funding towards procurement of drugs was increased, there is need for enhanced preventive measures to reduce pressure on need for more essential drugs.
Disease prevention is falling behind. We are seeing that we are concentrating on treatment instead of concentrating on prevention.
In the 2021-2022 national budget, Ministry of Health was allocated 187 billion kwacha. Recently, Health Minister Kumbize Kandudu Chiponda said her ministry has outsourced 1.5 billion kwacha towards procurement of essential drugs for public hospitals.
In the week ending, we also gave you news that 30% of pregnancies in this country are unplanned, a development which is also encouraging women to procure unsafe abortions. Deputy Director for Reproductive Health in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Henry Piri, said these issues are contributing to preventable deaths, which Malawi is registering through maternal deaths. Meanwhile, government has joined forces with international NGO IPAS Malawi to work to help reduce post-abortion mortalities in selected districts where these figures are alarming. From Mzuzu, Steve Zimba gave this report.
The Deputy Director responsible for reproductive health in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Henry Piri, says government would like to reduce post-abortion deaths in the country through use of revised post-abortion care standards and guidelines being initiated by international NGO IPAS Malawi. In Malawi, 30% of pregnancies are unplanned, and as a result, some women are forced to procure unsafe abortion, and 18% of maternal deaths are resulting from complications of unsafe abortion, among other causes. Dr. Piri is explaining how Malawi can reduce these dates.
The IMOC assessment itself has come up with recommendations in terms of improving the health worker skills, improving the health facilities. You know, we've got a problem of access to health facilities. Most of our women move long distances to access health services, and we believe that area needs to be taken into account.
IPAS Malawi Programs Manager Luke Tembo has told us that they will engage health care workers and communities in districts where figures of post-abortion care are alarming as a measure of saving lives of girls and women.
We believe we're going to work with different stakeholders, including youth clubs and youth organizations, women groups in the community, to first of all deal with the stigma that is associated with abortion, and then mobilize, give them the information that they need.
Dowa, Blantyre and Mzimba North are some of the districts registering increased cases of post-abortions. For Zodiak in Mzuzu, this is Steve Zimba reporting.
In the week, Minister of Tourism petitioned players in the tourism industry to diversify on marketing tourism sites in the country if domestic tourism is to flourish for the recovery of the industry from COVID-19 pandemic. Minister responsible Dr. Michael Usi said in Lilongwe on Tuesday that the country is not yielding desired dividends because of certain behaviors that are counterproductive to the growth of the industry due to lack of knowledge. Dr. Usi since called on players to introduce special packages for domestic tourists as the country will be observing Tourism Month this September under the theme Tourism for Inclusive Growth. This is what he had to say.
There are a number of areas which we could have done better in promoting domestic tourism. One is the use of local or vernacular languages. You know, it has been shown that most Malawians do not patronize the tourist attraction areas because, number one, finances, number two, they don't know. Why? It's because we have marketed these areas using a foreign language, English, and as such, many people have thought tourism is a foreign phenomenon.
And in business, we carried a story that Malawians will need to hold on a little hold on a little longer before they start to enjoy duty-free week, since the law on the same is here to be gazetted over a month after Parliament passed this year's national budget. Minister of Finance spokesperson Williams Banda said the gazetting process is still underway. Meanwhile, Malawi Revenue Authority said it is sensitizing people about the week pending the actual gazetting. Happy Njalamano filed this report from Blantyre.
Spokesperson in the Ministry of Finance, Williams Banda, says Malawians will be told when to import goods without paying duty when the whole process is concluded.
The arrangement for the duty-free is being made. However, there is a requirement that that particular week should be gazetted. And the plans are underway to ensure that Malawians should indeed import their items worth $3,000 without paying any taxes.
Spokesperson for Malawi Revenue Authority, Steve Kapoloma, says they are meanwhile sensitizing people about the week while waiting for its gazetting.
One way in which we are preparing ourselves is also to ensure that we prepare the public in order for them to know the procedures to do before the duty-free week, the procedures to follow during the duty-free week, and what to follow afterwards.
Parliament this year passed the national budget, which contains the duty-free week, about a month ago.
In sports news, Nyasa Big Bullets on Friday defeated Amazulu FC in CAF Champions League first leg match in South Africa. Chiukepo Msowoya scored the only goal of the game early in the first half, but Bullets had to play the rest of the match with 10 men as Yamikani Foja was given a red card. Sam Banda with a report.
Nyasa Big Bullets have started their CAF Champions League campaign on a high note after they secured a vital 1-0 away victory over South Africa's top-flight league giants Amazulu FC in the first leg at Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban on Friday evening. Former Flames international Chiukepo Msowoya scored the all but important lone goal for the TNM Super League champions in the first half, and Amazulu, playing in the Continental Showpiece for the first time, failed to capitalize on their numerical advantage after Bullets were reduced to 10 men following Yamikani Foja's red card for a crude foul on an opponent. Despite being pressed hard in the second half, Nyasa Big Bullets guarded their slender advantage ahead of the return leg. The People's Team Zimbabwean-born tactician Kalisto Pasua saluted his charges for a spirited performance.
We came here, we knew these guys, they are very good technically. Pound for pound, we couldn't match them. Hence the reason why most of the time we were trying to counter them. And the moment we get the ball, we try to break them with counter. And the good part, we got one goal and we had to sit down and reserve that goal.
Nyasa Big Bullets returns home today and will proceed into camp ahead of the return leg at Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe on 18th September. The winner at this round will face Democratic Republic of Congo heavyweights TP Mazembe next month.
That's all we had time for in this week in the news. A reminder of some of the top stories before we leave you. High Court convicts and remands business mogul Thompson Binganjira to Chichiri prison. Stakeholders demand answers on the recent security lapse in the administration of Standard 8 exams. Parliament summons central medical stalls and DHOs over acute drug shortage in public hospitals. And Nyasa Big Bullets stun Amazulu FC in CAF Champions League first leg match in South Africa. Visit our website for more. I am Philip Keitano da Costa. Thanks for watching.
Getting GoTV was the best decision James has ever